The global energy ledger has just recorded its most devastating entry in history. This Thursday, March 12, 2026, the International Energy Agency officially confirmed that the Iran war has caused the largest supply disruption in the history of the global oil market. We are talking about 7.5% of the entire world supply being wiped off the books in a matter of days. As Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei issues his first public decree vowing to keep the Strait of Hormuz closed, Brent crude has shattered the $100 per barrel ceiling. Despite an unprecedented emergency release of 400 million barrels from strategic reserves by 32 nations, the market is in a state of terminal panic. Ships are burning, Dubai is under drone alerts, and the risk premium has officially evolved into a global bankruptcy threat. Perhaps the most alarming audit finding today comes from U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright. He admitted that the U.S. Navy is not yet ready to escort tankers through the Strait of Hormuz. While President Trump proclaims "we won" from a stage in Kentucky, the operational reality is that military assets are too busy degrading capabilities to actually secure the trade routes. As an auditor, I see a massive execution gap. You cannot claim victory when the world's most vital energy choke point is physically impassable, and your own Navy cannot guarantee safe passage for a single vessel. I'm Camilo Motato, reporting for Thu News. As a certified public accountant, I deal with material impairments and going concern warnings. In any corporate audit, if a company loses its primary supply chain and the CEO claims everything is fine while the factories are on fire, we call that a failure of internal controls. Today, we are auditing the global energy ledger. We are looking at a market where 6 commercial vessels were struck overnight, where kamikaze drones are hitting export hubs in Oman, and where the victory promised by the White House has produced nothing but triple-digit oil prices and toxic smoke over Dubai. Let's analyze the emergency liquidity being injected into the market. The IEA has agreed on a record 400 million barrel release from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. The US alone is dumping 172 million barrels into the system. As a CPA, I view this as a desperate liquidation of assets. Dumping the SPR is a one-time move. It's like a company selling its office furniture to pay the electricity bill. Major financial institutions are already telling their staffers in Dubai to stay away from offices because this dump will have a minimal impact if the strait remains closed. With at least a dozen mines already confirmed in the waterway, this disruption is not quickly reversible. We are spending our savings while the income, the daily flow through Hormuz, is at a total standstill. The overnight hostilities have turned the Persian Gulf into an uninsurable zone. 6 vessels, including 2 foreign oil tankers in Iraqi waters and a container ship off Dubai, have been hit. In accounting, we track loss of inventory. But here, the inventory isn't just the oil, it's the ships themselves. China's refiners have already begun canceling export cargoes to cope with the war's impact. Trump claims that as the world's largest producer, the US makes a lot of money when prices go up. This is a cynical audit. Yes, the oil companies are in the black, but the global ledger is hemorrhaging value as on-the-beach demand slows down and shares in shipping companies drop 15%. This isn't a win, it's a systemic wealth transfer from the global consumer to the energy giants, fueled by the smoke of burning tankers. The governance ledger of Iran has its first official entry under the new supreme leader. Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei, in his first public message since replacing his slain father, has shattered any hope for a quick reopening of global trade. His directive is clear. The closure of the Strait of Hormuz must be continued as a primary tool to pressure the enemy. Furthermore, he has signaled the opening of new fronts, thanking regional militias and Shia Iraq militant groups for their strikes on U.S. targets in Erbil and northern Iraq. As a CPA, I track operational directives. This isn't the message of a lightweight or a defeated leader. It's a strategy of asymmetric diversification. While Trump claims Iran is crippled, Mojtaba is effectively franchising the war to proxy groups, ensuring that even if Iran's conventional air force is gone, the cost of security for U.S. bases in the region continues to rise. He has abandoned the policy of reciprocal strikes for a new aggressive doctrine, strike after strike. Simultaneously, President Trump told supporters in Kentucky that Operation Epic Fury was over almost as soon as it began, proclaiming, "We won. In the first hour, it was over." However, he quickly added a significant caveat. "We don't want to leave early. We've got to finish the job." From an auditing perspective, this is a contradictory valuation. You cannot claim a complete victory while simultaneously admitting that the job isn't finished, and oil infrastructure in Dubai is being hammered by Shahed 136 drones. More than 2,100 of these weapons have been fired so far. Trump's victory exists on a military ledger of destroyed hangars and ships, but it has failed to settle the security liability that is currently shutting down airports and causing financial giants to tell their staff to stay home. The most dangerous expansion of this conflict isn't happening in Tehran, but at the southern tip of the Arabian Peninsula. Reports have warned that Iran-backed groups, including the Houthis in Yemen, could move to shut the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. As a professional auditor, I view this as a systemic correlation risk. If both Hormuz and Bab el-Mandeb are closed, the entire Arabian Peninsula is effectively under an energy embargo. This would force all global shipping into a massive logistical deficit. This is why oil failed to come down meaningfully even after the record reserve release. The market is pricing in a total maritime insolvency, where the off-ramp Trump promised is being blocked by a new generation of low-cost, high-disruption asymmetric weapons. Finally, we must audit the geographic contagion. Dubai, once the safe haven of the Gulf, has suffered significant drone attacks, with a building in Creek Harbor being struck. Meanwhile, Oman has been forced to halt port operations after kamikaze drones hit an energy export hub. In accounting, this is a liquidation of regional stability. When Oman, the traditional mediator of the Middle East, is forced to shut its ports, the diplomatic capital of the region is exhausted. Iran's military has announced that they have ended reciprocal strikes, meaning they are no longer waiting to be hit to respond. They are in a state of continuous aggression, proving that while the US may have won the conventional air war in the first hour, they are currently losing the asymmetric audit of regional security. While the world focuses on oil prices, the IDF has just confirmed a strike on a key Iranian nuclear development site. This is the ultimate high-risk entry in our audit. President Trump asserts that the US is successfully stopping Iran from having nuclear weapons, but in doing so, the coalition has crossed a line that makes a ceasefire nearly impossible. As a CPA, I view this as a total asset impairment. You cannot negotiate with a site you have just pulverized. Iran has told regional intermediaries that for a ceasefire, the US must guarantee it will never strike the country again, a guarantee Washington will not provide. A former Revolutionary Guard chief has stated that Iran will agree to no ceasefire until a definite outcome is reached. In accounting, this is a contested settlement where the price of peace has become higher than the cost of war. Perhaps the most telling audit finding for the global economy isn't coming from the Gulf, but from Beijing. Chinese oil refiners have begun canceling agreed refined fuel export cargoes. This is a massive strategic retreat. Beijing is tightening curbs to cope with the war's impact, signaling that they expect the largest supply disruption in history to be long-term. From a professional auditor's perspective, this is a failure of market liquidity. When the world's largest importer starts canceling contracts, the global ledger of trade is broken. Trump's proclamation that we won sounds hollow when the world's second largest economy is entering a state of emergency energy conservation. The economic impact is already visible. Travel companies have suspended their full-year guidance due to a significant slowdown, and shares are dropping 15%. This is the real cost of victory that isn't being discussed in Kentucky. The final audit of Day 12 shows a world in strategic insolvency. We have a new Ayatollah who has successfully franchised the war to proxy fronts, making the closure of Hormuz a permanent reality. We have a U.S. administration that claims a first-hour victory, while its Navy is unable to escort a single tanker through the minefields. And we have oil at $101, proving that the record reserve release was nothing more than an accounting gimmick to hide the true depth of the crisis. As a CPA, my verdict is that Operation Epic Fury has achieved technical success but operational failure. You can destroy a navy, but you cannot destroy a geographical choke point, or the asymmetric will of a regime that has spent decades preparing for this exact liquidation. The victory Trump proclaimed is a paper gain. On the ground, the global economy is facing a permanent write-down of stability. But I want to hear from you. Do you believe Trump's "we won" narrative when Dubai is under drone fire and oil is over $100? Can a 400 million barrel release fix a broken global supply chain? Or are we watching the great energy default of our time? Let me know in the comments. Your perspective is the only audit that matters when the numbers on the screen don't match the smoke on the horizon. I'm Camilo Motato, Certified Public Accountant for Thu News. Thank you for joining me for this autopsy of the global energy market. Subscribe to stay ahead of the chaos and stay safe.